All is right in the world. At long last, the radish boy and the radish can stand side by side. Hello! On my Ororon 101, I got a few comments regarding Hyperbloom, whether it was complaining that the vegetable freak himself wasn't a dedicated Hyperbloom character, or just asking if he could be used in Hyperbloom in the first place. And while I initially wrote it off, these comments did get me thinking. To be entirely honest, Ororon is not a good Hyperbloom trigger himself. His burst is on a 15-second cooldown, yet it only lasts 9 seconds. That's a lot of potential uptime that you're losing out on, and none of his constellations fix this problem, and the rest of his kit fares a lot worse. His skill can proc Hyperblooms, although it's not good at it. In single target scenarios, it's only one hit on a 15-second cooldown. In multi-target, it can trigger a few more blooms, but even then, it's pretty inconsistent. Funnily enough, it can target Hyperbloom cores, but it won't trigger them. And you technically have his aimed shots, but like, do you really want to do that? I don't know how many people are out here doing aimed shot Hyperbloom teams. And when it comes to his A1 passive, they just can't trigger Hyperblooms at all. They're single target attacks, there's no AoE on them. But I realized that I could turn that into a good thing. As you might have seen from the team, we got Ororon quickbloom now. You can leverage Ororon's poor ability to trigger Hyperblooms and combine it with his ability to buff damage and put him in a team that has a dedicated quickbloom carry, like Cyno here. And if you have a unit with strong enough Hydro application, like Xingqiu here, you can trigger plenty of Electro Charges and get some decent damage and buffing out of Ororon. And you can see here, oh well, the 12% wore off, but Ororon does consistently get the scroll buff up on all 3 elements in this team, which is relevant because you're getting good talent damage from all 3 elements. And just as a Cyno liker, I do really like how Ororon helps a lot with his energy needs. Someone like Yansan would only be able to buff either Dendro or Hydro, and because the team has a decently split damage profile, the attack buff going to your on-fielder is a lot less relevant than a consistent damage buff across your entire team and Ororon's personal damage. The biggest weakness of Ororon in this team, which you're seeing in these runs, is that I don't actually use his burst. And while his burst isn't the majority of his damage, it still is significant. Let's see if I do a rotation here. Because blooms spawn right below enemies, if you place his burst right and you place it right on top of the enemies, it's gonna steal basically all of your blooms. And because he's not the one being built for EM in this team, you're gonna lose out on a lot of damage. He still functions without his burst, you're still getting a lot of value out of the rest of his kit, but it is a small weakness of using Ororon in this archetype, especially considering a good amount of his constellations relate to his burst. C2 gives him an electro damage bonus when he casts it, C3 and 4 are just straight damage increases to it, and C6 triggers an additional instance of his lightning bolts when he uses it. He does still give the attack buff, but you're losing out on essentially half the constellation. All this together leads to a pretty sizable decrease in Ororon's personal damage, especially at C6. But I think these teams are strong enough, and I still think he brings enough to the table that he is very much worth considering. Now for the rest of the team, actually, I don't even know. I haven't checked if Yelan works. Oh wow, she's already geared. Fantastic. She does apply 2 units of Hydro with her burst, so that might be enough to clear Nahida's Dendro and get at least a few Electro Charges. Let's check the menu. Oh no. Check it again. It doesn't seem like I'm getting any damage bonus at all. Alright, cool. I get to keep shilling my Xingqiu propaganda. Unless you have C2 Yelan, then yeah, you do need Xingqiu here. I think Nahida is a bit of an auto-include here. Might be able to get away with Dendro Traveler or Kole, depending on who your on-fielder is. But I think Nahida is always going to be your best in slot. The others are just if you want to make use of them or you don't have Nahida. Your on-fielder slot is your most flexible. Big surprise. A lot of the Electro units are pretty interchangeable. I think the most popular option is Chlorand. Xingqiu forcing a longer rotation might make Chlorand a little bit worse, but in that case you might be able to alter your rotation. Instead of going Nahida, Xingqiu, Ororon, Chlorand, you can go Xingqiu, Nahida, Ororon, Chlorand. If you're a Chlorand liker, test it out, let me know how it works. Both Keqing and Raiden perform fairly similarly to Cyno. You might again have to do unadjusted rotation like you would with Florand, and it's a little less synergistic with Raiden's kit, but it is a potential way you could use her. Pitching works basically the same as Cyno, normal attack and skill spam. Me being me, I tried to use Sethos. He feels okay, but I do have some issues. When you're fighting bosses, Sethos in his burst style aims upwards, which can make it difficult for him to hit blooms that spawn under the boss. You can remedy this with a few aimed shots or skills weaved in. Up to you if you want to deal with that, though. I guess I could talk about Cyno because he is my personal favorite here. I think he fits the long rotations very well. I like the energy that Ororon gives him. It makes the entire team work a lot comfier. It just seems like this is one of those rare teams where Cyno's excessively long rotations isn't a downside. His entire team can actually match his uptime. Granted, the difficulties between Cyno and Nahida kind of make this a boss-only thing. I think everyone knows about their anti-synergy in multi-wave now. Cyno can't swap out mid-burst for Nahida to reapply her mark. But in those single-target situations, I think that this team rotates very, very smoothly. So while I was testing out these teams, I was having a lot of fun playing Cyno. And then an evil little goblin thought crossed my mind. And not just any kind of goblin.
So, what's the deal?
A treasure goblin. Am I the only Dory fan? Do people really hate Dory that much? The inclusion of Dory in this team lets us go Farina. And yes, this is specifically C6 Dory, so if you don't have C6 Dory or you hate playing her, I don't blame you if that's the case. I do have another option that I'm actually not sure if it's more or less of a goblin thing. You could use the cow. This is the type of stuff that I actually want to get Veresa for, because she has her whole mini burst thing going on in her kit. She can burst multiple times in a rotation, and that synergizes incredibly well with Prototype Amber, and you can turn Veresa into your healer for Farina. Her special ICD and her low Electro application makes her worse at triggering aggravates, so she's not going to be getting a ton of talent damage in this team. But just like with everybody else, that ICD doesn't apply to Bloom cores. So if you just got Veresa and you want to do something stupid with her, go Prototype Amber full EM Hyperbloom trigger. As for the Dory variant, it actually plays surprisingly similar to the Veresa one. They're both quick swappy full party healers that have most of their functionality in their skills. And the way that I build Dory, she kind of has the same skill reset thing going on as Veresa does. Her infusion at C6 is dependent on her using her skill, and then her normal attacks are electro infused and they'll heal the whole party, which is basically all of her utility here. And between Sack Greatsword and Thundering Fury, and also the tiny bit of cooldown reduction that's in her base kit, I can essentially always guarantee that her skill is off cooldown when I need it. My rotations can be flexible. I can link up to 3 or even 4 skills, and have Dory on field for as long or as short as I need her to. Farina's lower application can make it so that this variant has similar issues to the Yelan one. Like you see here, I'm not getting my hydro damage bonus, and Farina being a significant portion of the team's damage, that does hurt. But when it comes to this team, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's funny, so I don't really care all that much. The Yelan variant plays functionally the same as the Xingqiu variant, but her lower application makes it a lot worse. You get less blooms, you get less personal damage from Ororon, he doesn't buff Hydro, whereas this version is an entirely different team structure, and while it doesn't function as cleanly, it still works well enough. So yeah, end of the day, Xingqiu variants are certainly a lot cleaner than the Farina variants, and maybe a bit better. I'm just happy to find new things to do with Dory. It's also possible that the Veresa teams might be able to get your Hydro Scroll buff. If anyone with her wants to test this out and let me know in the comments, I would be grateful. So that's it from me. I'm just happy to give the veggie boy a place with his veggies. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you learned a thing or two. You can leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you want to show your support. Everything is appreciated, and I hope y'all have a lovely day.